Chris, for being with us today. Chris is very passionate about delivering above and beyond movements for the guests and colleagues in a luxury environment. He believes that excellence of service, being passionate in everything, is the key to our success. So very true. I mean, I don't think we can ever achieve the kind of things that you have achieved without being so passionate and absolutely uh, clear about the fact that excellence is the key. With an accomplished track record in established luxury and upscale hotels and extensive operational experience across 5 continents, he's known to be strategically focused, financially disciplined, and result oriented with a strong track record of consistent leadership and innovation. Chris, tell us something about your journey so far.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on your program. It's a massive pleasure. And being called affable is something I've never been called before. So thank you very much for
Really?
this
Okay.
wonderful welcome. So
people who work with you might beg to differ, but I think you're really affable.
That's great. Thank you very much. So a little bit about me in a nutshell.
Right.
I'm going back to the place where I grew up. It's a small mountain village in the heart of the Swiss Alps. It's a place called Zermatt, on the foot of the famed Mount Matterhorn. You probably know the Toblerone Mountain.
Right, of course.
That looks almost like a pyramid. So that I grew up at the actual Toblerone Mountain, foot of Mount Matterhorn. It's a beautiful village. Snow, you can ski all year round, but snow in the village probably 8-9 months of the year. It's a tourist place. My grandfather was a mountain guide, a ski instructor, and a hotelier. And my dad was also a hotelier. So I'm a third generation hotelier. Yeah. So I don't like to be called general manager, because a general manager is someone who also runs a toy shop or a factory or anything that is not so guest centric. Right? I want to be a host, a hotelier. Wow. So I started my career in the kitchen. I'm a chef by trade. After that, I ventured into being a sommelier. I did my sommelier education. And post that, I worked for Hilton a little while before I finished my hotel school. After hotel school, I worked for a few smaller operators, luxury operators, before I joined Hyatt in 1999, so 21 years ago. Wow. in Dubai. Then with Hyatt, the last few years, it took me twice to Dubai, twice to Oman, Muscat, to Qatar, Russia, and now here in India. I'm married to a lovely Australian redhead, Rachel, and together we have 2 kids, both born in Dubai. So this is it in a nutshell.
Are they based here or in Dubai?
No, they're all here. Family travels with me. Wouldn't travel without the family.
Of course. Very, very important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So many years dedicated to Hyatt. What is it about the hotel brand that you love so much? And I mean, obviously you love the brand. So what is it about it that you love so much?
You know, I'm not saying that other brands I'm not saying they don't deliver the same experience looking after colleagues as we do. But in my case, I can honestly say that they really looked after me as well in return for the hard work we put in every day. I mean, I had one incident where I needed medical attention in Moscow, Russia, in 2006. And they went as far to offer to fly me out on a private jet to make sure I get the right medical attention, right? Needless is one episode. Other episodes are that, I mean, I have great mentors in the company, people who looked after me. And for me, that just makes the difference. It's the emotional attachment. Look, I had many offers over the years from other companies, some of them putting much more money on the table. But the older you get, you realize it's not just the money that makes a difference when you work for a company, right? It's the leadership you work for, the people you work for. It's the charisma of the bosses you work for. Because there's an old saying, you don't work for a company, you work for your boss. And this is actually true. I honestly believe in that. Look, it could be a completely different brand on top of the building. If it's the same people who would have hired me and looked after me, I would work for another brand, right? At the end of the day.
Absolutely right, yeah.
So, yeah, no question.
So I've heard a lot of things about how you have increased the productivity since you've come in over here. I mean, the people working with you have so many good things to say about you. Tell us, what have you? I'm serious. It's serious. I mean, discussion for this interview came about while we were actually talking about you with the people in your office, and they told me that how you have increased the productivity um, tenfold. Tell us something about that.
Look, I'm not a guy who controls the people who work for me or around me. I don't believe in that.
Hmm.
I just want to make sure you get the job done.
Right.
Now, in many parts of the world, people just come to work early because the boss comes early and they want to leave after the boss. It's just fact in many cultures, right?
Very true.
And this is something I told them from day one. I don't want that. You just get the job done. You come and go as you please.
Hmm.
Just make sure the job is done, the guests and the employees are looked after, and then we take it from there. They're being held accountable, right? They have to be productive, but other than that, it makes no difference to me if they work till 9 o'clock or till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? As long as the job gets done. So
Right.
now it's in their own best interest to get the job done as efficiently and as quickly as possible, right?
Right. Of course.
Without taking shortcuts, obviously. And how do I measure the shortcuts? It's very simple. I look at the guest tracker, at the guest satisfaction level. So every hotel I worked so far, I increase the guest satisfaction level. But more importantly, I increase the employee satisfaction level.
Correct.
Because I still believe if you look after the employees, and again, that's an old saying, right? But it's so true. You look at the data, you look after your colleagues, they look after the guests. And that's all it is. And talk to them, talk to everyone, engage with them, you know? Don't just order or boss them around. Have a relationship with them. Do ask how's your dad, your family, how are your children, you know? Uh, Like you treat them like you want to be treated.
Absolutely.
That's all I can tell. There is no secret. There is no special motto or thing I can tell you. It's just treat them like human beings, right? And they will love you back and take care of you as well.
Well, that's really amazing. And I was told something very interesting about you, which I think I've hardly met anybody in the Indian corporate culture that does that. That is that you don't want to receive mails after 7 o'clock or on Saturdays and Sundays.
So I started. So well-being and wellness is a very important point for our company for a long time.
Right.
Now we look back and we say, okay, we tell people eat healthy. We tell them you have to work out, uh, work-life balance. This has all been done, but has it really been done? No, it has not been done, right? Have we enabled the team? Have we forced them to actually really look at this work-life balance? So about half a year or maybe a year ago, we introduced this well-being policy, and one of the points amongst many others is
Mhm.
you really do not send emails after a certain time during the weekday, and definitely not on a public holiday weekend or during vacation. And it took me a long time to get used to it. It took the team a long time to get used to it. But every time I received an email, I send them a reminder, well-being policy, don't send emails. If it's urgent,
Yeah, of course.
call. If you can't leave your hands off the keyboard, then type your email, put it in the draft folder, send it on Monday. And I'm really adamant in that. I'm in hotels working for me. It took those GMs a long time to understand that I don't want an email from them on weekends. In general, I don't like emails. Pick up the phone, talk to me, right? It's much more effective to have a conversation.
No, no,
So,
that's up.
yeah, I'm glad you picked up on that one.
That's a great policy because when I was told this about you, I was amazed. I said, like, of course, in normal industries, it also doesn't happen, but in the hotel industry, it's unheard of because everybody thinks that whether it's any time of the day, they should be working. I think that's amazing. So tell me, what are
No.
the other wellness policies that you have put in place?
Well, for example, I have twice a week, I take the people on a walk. I mean, they can join me. We don't force them early in the morning because we have this wonderful property in the middle of Mumbai. And what most people don't know, you can actually walk within the property, the boundary walls, around the whole building, which is around 750 meters, right? Tell me where else you can do that in the middle of a metropolis like Mumbai. You can do it here. So we take him for a walk. We now because of COVID, a lot was disrupted, right? But we're going to speak now again to people who are trained in nutrition and give classes in nutrition, because I want our staff to understand. And these nutritionists have to speak to them in the local language, right? At least in Hindi, if not Marathi. So they really understand, right? It shouldn't be a classroom session. It has to be even a live cooking session. Explain to them what happens to the food, how it breaks down if you cook it, if you do the wrong thing, right? How important it is to eat at certain times depending on the schedule you have, and so on. No, I mean, this is just one other thing, right? Personal hygiene and taking care, very important. Spending time with your family, very important. Then the next thing that we started with is mindfulness. You are in the country of yoga, right? India, undisputed leader in yoga. So you have the best yoga teachers here. So let's teach the people how to do yoga properly, how to relax. Now, the thing is, I met a lot of managers, they actually took yoga sessions, they understand. But a lot of the more junior staff, they actually don't understand the concept of it. Now, you know, there is dental wellness, but there is mental wellness as well, right? So dental wellness, the dentist takes care of. But there is no doctor who will take care of your brain. You have to take care of mental wellness. So we have to assist the staff to reach that level where they understand that just maybe once or twice a day for 10 minutes, switch off, concentrate, mindfulness, get into yourself, listen to your body. What difference it makes, right? How much more productive you can be. Right. The solutions to problems you find when you think about something else. So I think this whole mental well-being is a game changer. And I'm not saying a game changer for our industry or a game changer for Hyatt. It's a game changer for all of us who do it, right?
Absolutely right. No,
to become a better person, a more productive person, a more balanced person.
So tell me, what do you personally do when you're not working?
Well, I guess what everyone else has done the last few months, watching a lot of television because of COVID, right? But let's put that aside for a second. I'm an avid motorbiker. I love motorbiking. I mean, I traveled on motorbikes in Lesotho, which is an African mountain kingdom. I traveled in South Africa. I've done Bhutan on a motorbike all the way to the Chinese border. I've traveled through Australia. Vietnam was absolutely fantastic. Just be very careful in Vietnam. The traffic is absolutely horrendous. I love a good bottle of wine. I love a great cigar and spend time with my wife and the kids. So Lovely. It keeps me busy. Let's put it this way.
And do you do yoga? Have you started doing yoga as well?
No, but I have to. I really want to.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So absolutely. Tell me, have you been?
No question.
Have you tried any Ayurvedic treatments? Have you actually tried to understand what Ayurveda is all about being in India?
I was planning to go for a few days Ayurvedic treatment last June, but because COVID kicked off, right, and we just arrived in the country a few months earlier. Right. No, I did not have the chance, but it's on my bucket list of things to do. Definitely has to be done, no doubt.
Do you think a lot of other organizations are also going to adopt corporate wellness into their scheme of things, because COVID has changed a lot of things in people's mindsets?
So I think in general, this whole COVID pandemic has shown us how important health and well-being is on a mental level, in terms of exercising and eating well and so on. So I think any company who really truly cares about their colleagues and guests in one way or another will have to get into that space. Because if they're not, they may become irrelevant. They will be just in that sea of sameness. They will be where everyone else is. But you want to differentiate yourselves. Why do you want to work for us, right? Because we look after you. We do certain things different. So the answer is they have to, or they perish, one or the other.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Do you think because of what COVID has done, the returns or AI will be driven, people will be driven more by AI and technology as we go along?
This is a very interesting question. And I'm a technophile. I love technology because I think technology to a great extent can make your life much easier through however you apply technology and AI, right? So I have tried to implement these QR codes for various aspects of the business, even a simple menu, for the last 5 years.
Okay.
There was so much resistance. Either the owner said, no, this is not 5-star, or the guest said, yeah, no, this is not 5-star, this is not luxury. And I said, it is, it's just different. It's a new way of doing it. So everything what I wanted to do the last few years, suddenly, be it an electronic newspaper, be it an electronic menu, we had to do it. And look at that, everyone adapted it. So now, when we started the it will work. When we started the QR menus, the first few weeks, people still asked for the normal ones because they wanted to hold the menu in their hands.
Right.
Today, you walk to one of the outlets, you go to one of the restaurants, everyone takes the phone out, everyone takes the QR code and starts reading the menu. It's the exact opposite. Electronic newspapers, the amount of paper you save. And we have an app called Press Reader. You can download about 400 newspapers, about 300 magazines from 160 countries. So much better and so much more environmental friendly than delivering a newspaper. If I'm a guy from New York on a business trip here, the Mumbai Mirror means nothing to me, right? The Times of India has very little relevance. But now you can read the newspaper from back home. Now it works because of COVID again. So I'm a firm believer there is more to come. That whole touchless technology is just about to take off, in my opinion.
So, do you offer that to all your guests, this press reader thing that you were talking about?
I've been offering it from the last 8 years, before in Muscat, then in Doha, now here as well. Okay. And it costs you nothing. It costs you nothing. You download the app, and as long as you're on the Hyatt Wi-Fi network, you can read from Vogue US, Vogue France, the UK edition, the Indian edition, to any magazine you want, right? Right. A car magazine, a bike magazine, fashion magazine, a newspaper, anything is there.
Oh, that's interesting, because our magazines are also all on Press Reader. So.
Oh, well, there you go. You see? Yes, it actually is. Yes, it is. That's absolutely true. I've seen it here. That's true. Sorry, completely forgot about it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So tell me, what have you personally learned from the pandemic?
I have learned 2 things. Don't take your lifestyle, your everyday life for granted. Because we've all been hit not by a disease personally. Most of us have not been exposed to the virus, right? But we have been exposed to it in economic ways. The fear of losing a job, right? The fear of having no income, of being repatriated, wherever your home is. I've learned to take to enjoy the family much more, to be honest. I'm not sure if the kids would say the same thing to you if you asked them. We had to find new ways of engaging with each other, right? It's beautiful to walk through the hotel now because all the lights are back on, the flowers are there, the candles are on, the restaurants are open. Because we made a conscious decision, let's run this hotel like it was before. So the arrival experience cannot be because the hotel is half empty, that lights are switched off, that certain services are suspended. Of course, we implemented social distancing, keyless entry, and so on. But as much as we learned of what not to do, it also taught us new ways of running a business, right? And I think it will prevail and we will build up on it. Look, hygiene and safety standards have been here before. And a lot of the things we do now, we actually taught them before already. We were cleaning the elevators and the doors and the door handles before as well. Now suddenly the guest is sensitized to it and asks about it, checks it. Has been done before, right? With the same chemicals that kill 99.9% of the bacteria, right? But now you actually see the person, now look, they're cleaning, they're doing it, right? I think it's more the guest behavior that changed in as much as we had to change as well. Now, we as a company had a hygiene manager on property before the pandemic because we took it so serious, right? We take food samples of whatever we serve all day long, every day, even before the pandemic. Now suddenly people start implementing that in other hotels because guests ask for it, right? But we had it. And it's one of our brand standards from way before.
So when do you think, according to you, things in the hotel industry and the travel industry are going to get back to normal?
You know what? If I would know the answer, I'd be a rich man. But let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. If I look, I'm looking after a few hotels, and they're all across India, from the north in Lucknow, Delhi, down to Chennai, over to Kolkata, Ahmedabad, Hampi, and Raipur. I see a lot of the markets picking up.
Right.
What is interesting to see, it's obviously the domestic segment, Indians traveling, and it's the leisure segment. So the guest need is completely different. An Indian traveling for leisure has a different requirement than an international business traveler. Now, the big states, or a big state like Maharashtra, and I'm talking mainly about Pune and Mumbai, are slower in their pickup. But this has different reasons. A city like Mumbai, a metropolis with 23 million people, I think a lot of travelers still try to avoid because it's such a condensed environment, right? So the fear of catching the virus is probably a bit higher. The other problem you have is also that the government seems to be a bit more restrictive here for obvious reasons. I'm not saying this is wrong at all. So this state is a bit slower in uptick in our business, in the hospitality business. But the other states, I see them ramping up rather quickly, much quicker than we thought.
Right.
So I'm very hopeful. I'm very, very hopeful, to be honest. I would think, since you asked the very specific questions, I would think we see very healthy occupancies again, latest in Q3, if international airline traffic opens.
Exactly.
Now, this is all tied to vaccinations, the psychological aspects. Is it safe to travel, right? But if you fly domestically, these planes are full. I mean, I've been flying to many places.
Oh, yes.
They're full, huh?
Oh, yes. Domestic business.
Absolutely.
Which is your most favorite place to travel the world, all over the world? Which is your one place that you've really missed having to travel to?
So the bad news is I don't have an answer because I have not seen the whole world, right? The good news is I keep on traveling and exploring new places. Look, one of my, maybe two places. One is Boracay in the Philippines. I was there twice. I was there 25 years ago and 3 years ago, a completely different experience. But then there is that hidden gem called Guam, which is an American island, halfway between Australia and Japan. And it's not that easy to get to Guam. And I have to say, Guam really took me by surprise. You are so far away from the US continent, right? Yet you feel like you're in the US, but it has a kind of a, I don't know, a Hawaiian feel, a tropical feel to it, a very laid back feel, clean beaches, fantastic, a fantastic sea, fantastic seafood. I love seafood. I mean, I think Guam took me by surprise, and I always tell Rachel is my wife, we should go back to Guam again. But we've been to the Maldives in December. It was as beautiful. But the thing is, with the Maldives, you've seen the photos, you've seen the hotels. So the expectation is already here, right? So you expect it.
Yes.
Guam took us by surprise, I have to say. Guam took us by surprise. But then I also would love to have a trip with the family in a four-wheel drive around Australia, right?
Oh, wow.
Probably as lovely, which I have not done. That's on the bucket list. So there's so many nice places. But when you travel, please take your time, get involved, get immersed in the local culture, try to meet people. And if it's difficult to meet with the locals, at least start mingling with the travelers. Right. There is so much to learn. I mean, I have best of friends all over the world. And they're not people I grew up with. They're people I met along the way somewhere while traveling, right?
Wow.
I mean, we went for the first time, we went on a cruise, I think 3 years ago. And I was a bit hesitant, you know, a cruise ship, thousands of people. We had the best time, absolutely fantastic. You check in, you unpack, and every morning you're at a different destination.
Absolutely.
How wonderful is that? And we loved it. And I would do that again as well.
You get to meet so many people.
Oh, yes, absolutely. No doubt.
Anywhere in India that's on your bucket list?
Well, I've been to Goa. I've been to many places. Obviously, Goa is next door, a wonderful place. I still want to go back to Rajasthan.
Okay.
I've been to Jaipur about a decade ago. I was invited for a wedding, but I didn't really have time. I really want to go back to Jaipur and enjoy the city, stay there, experience it. That's really something I want to see. Absolutely, you know, the lake palaces, all these kind of things, no?
Yeah, I think that's
So
one of the things that most of us have missed about COVID is that we couldn't travel.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I want to go and see this, you know, this famous gate closing ceremony. Is it in Amritsar or where is it?
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. Just
I have to see this.
on border.
I have to see this.
It is an amazing experience. It actually
Yeah.
is an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope we
And
can.
I want to go into the mountains as well. I want to go and see mountains. I want to go to the Himalayas again. I miss the mountains. I grew up in the mountains, so I have to see that.
Are you a spa person? Do you like going to spas?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, who isn't? Tell me anyone who doesn't like spas.
Exactly. Exactly.
You see?
Who doesn't like spas? Very, very small percentage.
A lot of hotels underestimate the revenue potential for spas. And the problem is that a lot of us GMs, we just hire a spa therapist. And we don't really understand what happens. Forget the educational aspect that you actually hire the right guy. But you have to understand the whole revenue stream of a spa treatment, right? The additional treatments you can offer, the return guests you can get, the you know, the creams and lotions and oils you can sell. It's a massive business if done right. And a lot of, especially city center hotels, underestimated. Now, at the moment, obviously, the problem here is we're not allowed to extend spa services, right?
Yeah,
Which hopefully ends.
We're all that will change. So tell us, what are your plans for Hyatt in the coming years in your area, and how do you plan to revive the business?
Obviously, I know a few hotels that open in the coming years, be it in Jaipur, be it in Dehradun, and a few other places. So, like any other hotel company, we think India has massive potential on the domestic market and international market. And there is still so much to be explored and to be seen where we are not present as a company. You'd be surprised that one of the better performing hotels right now is a place called Hampi, right? Who would have thought? Yeah, who would have thought a year ago, right?
Exactly.
Because it's a remote place and people like to travel now. I go to remote places and experience it. So I think there are many secondary and tertiary cities that we as a company have not tapped in yet, that have the potential for smaller hotels, right? Smaller hotels, well done. We as a company, obviously, at the forefront at the moment, like with any other business, is that whole healthy and safety aspect that we try to communicate. And also to take care of the employees in ways to ensure that that we can keep on creating jobs. I think this is very important right now, because especially our industry, there's a young generation who's graduating last year and this year who don't have a job yet, right? And I think it's important that we as an industry support them, so we find talent for the future, right? Otherwise, we're going to have a massive problem on that field.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. At least the children who have just graduated last year, for them, it's very difficult. It's a very difficult time, but hopefully we're all going to be back to normal very soon. And thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for being with us. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. And I have to say, I'm really impressed with all the policies that you have adopted into. Amazing. I have to say, amazing. Like I said earlier, also, I haven't seen anybody in the hotel industry, or like a very small, minuscule percentage, who would do what you do. So I hope everybody also follows suit, because that's what is important. We always insist and always say that work-life balance is important. You can't just work, and neither can you just play. It has to be the right balance. And
absolutely.
I'll see you personally soon. And
absolutely, please pass by.
I will.
Definitely.
I will.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Great.
And
have a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, thank you so much. And next time, I'm going to do my next Zoom call standing.
Do that.
I will.
This is part of wellness. You see, I try to work standing as well.
This is what I have learned from today, besides, of course, all the other things. But this is my key takeaway, that I'm going to do my...
It makes it so much more natural if you can move around, right?
I completely agree.
You see?
Amazing.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.